Southern Smoke Foundation is a nonprofit that exists specifically for food and beverage workers. And Southern Smoke really steps up when folks in the industry need the help. Lindsey Brown is the executive director of Southern Smoke, and she's back with us this morning. Lindsey, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I wanted to have you on because I know Southern Smoke works all year long. For those that don't know, when food and beverage workers find themselves in a time of crisis, you guys really step up to help families, and it happens all year. So before we talk about the storms and what you've done recently, for folks that don't know, how does this work when people need help? What do they do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we provide financial grants for anyone in the food and beverage industry in an unforeseen crisis. So we've seen a lot of those crises recently with the storms, but it could happen in any situation. You know, your bike is stolen and you can't get to work. You have a medical diagnosis and you need help paying for that. Domestic violence, you need help getting up and out of that situation. We can fund all of these situations. And so to apply, all you have to do to qualify is you have to work in the food and beverage industry, and we define food and beverage as the whole food chain. So farmers, distillers, winemakers, anyone that works at a restaurant, coffee shop, or bar. If you've worked in the industry for 6 months at 30 hours a week, that's all we ask.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
And as you said, you guys are there all year long.
Yes.
And not just here in the Houston area, you've spread out throughout the country. But it's timely right now because we had so much storm damage in the last few weeks. And we were recently at an event together promoting the upcoming festival once again for October. And boy, I heard that you guys haven't had these kinds of applications in years, maybe since this thing even started.
I think the only disaster that sent in more applications than this one is the fires in Maui.
Wow.
But we're double where we were for Hurricane Harvey. And I know we have more awareness now than we did back then, but more than 500 applications have come in from food and beverage workers that needed help. I mean, we had restaurants that were closed for over a week. And when you think about people that are paid hourly, that's a lot of lost wages.
Big time.
And that's
time.
if there was no damage to them whatsoever in their homes.
Right, that's just the basics.
Exactly.
From losing power, restaurants were losing food. But then here you are at Southern Smoke saying, I want to help, and now you start hearing about damage to homes, to cars. How do you deal with that?
So what we've done is we've sort of triaged.
Yeah.
So we've got anyone that had lost wages, lost groceries due to power outages at their own homes, and we're trying to get those funded quickly because it doesn't take as much work from our caseworkers. Right. You know exactly how many hours they missed, we can fund them, and then they're okay. Now we're working on those cases of the people who had trees fall through their homes or property damage to their cars. And so that takes a little more work, a little more detail, a full financial breakdown from the applicant. So it does take more from both parties.
Yeah, but the outreach is still there, and
Yes.
it's still important. What, for those that have never been to a Southern Smoke, it's the big event, right? And you have different fundraisers throughout the year, but the big festival in October, that's where we raise a bulk of these funds.
Yes.
So when are tickets going to go on sale? What's looking ahead to the fall? What are we getting into this year?
Yeah, so tickets go on sale July 9th. We have 74 chefs from around the country coming to cook with us. We're really excited. We've got some people that we've asked every year, and this is the first year they've been able to come, like Christina Tosi from Milk Bar is coming. Rodney Scott, who is making whole hog early in Southern Smoke years, is coming back for the first time in a couple years. So we're really excited about the lineup, all kinds of incredible Houston chefs. We've got wine bars pouring this year, so you'll see 13 Celsius, and you'll see Stella's Wine Bar, and Bacchanal from New Orleans is coming in. So it's going to be a blast.
You always have something new, don't you?
Always, and we have a demo stage. We've never done that before. So Yeti is sponsoring a demo stage, so people will be doing demos at the same time that other chefs will be cooking for us.
Yeah. So let's get back to the assistance. Talk to me a little bit more about some of the stories that have come out of these last few weeks, because we've been telling you tons, homes flooded, other things, but when it comes down to it, we deal with numbers a lot of times, but what about the individuals? What about the people? So what kinds of stories have you heard? Well,
one of the positives about the storm happening in Houston, it being in our hometown, we know a lot of people. We know a lot of restaurant owners, we know chefs, and so we were the first call for a lot of situations. And so we got calls from some of our chef owner friends that said, look, I have an employee where a tree fell through their home. And it we can be a solution for chefs and owners that are put in a tricky situation.
Yeah, right.
So if they pay for you to stay in a hotel, they also need to pay for all their other employees. That's why it's helpful for them to just send them to us, and then we can help everyone without the chefs and the owners having to get involved. And so they called us and they said, look, this employee of ours had a tree fall through. It's not livable. Is there anything you can do now? And we immediately got them into a hotel, took care of them for a couple of days, and then started building the case so we can get her funded to pay for all of that damage.
What is the key to being able to respond so quickly? I mean, obviously being in Houston helps, but what else is
We have an incredible team. And we're actually short one person on the emergency relief team. So the fact that the team now has been able to pull together, other people that are not, our beverage director's been calling and employing verifying employment. You know, everybody has been all hands on deck for this because it's necessary. We have to get it done. That's what we're here for.
So it ebbs and flows, right? Because you have unfortunately disasters, whether it's like something as big as the Maui wildfires, or it's more of an isolated neighborhood here. You guys have to be ready to respond all year to really almost anywhere, right?
And in most cases, we can kind of plan. You know, we know when hurricane season is coming. The meteorologists are very helpful, and they can tell us, you know, when we need to be prepared. But this storm, no one was prepared for. Who knew that 30 minutes could do so much damage? And so this really was a situation where everyone was surprised.
Yeah. Can folks donate elsewhere throughout the year? We don't have to wait to Southern Smoke Festival to make a donation. If folks are hearing this and they say, I'd like to help some of these food and beverage workers that are still recovering, what can someone do right now?
Right now, they can go to southernsmoke.org and donate right there. We would greatly appreciate it. We also have a really fun event coming up at the end of this month called Respect the Rosé. It's an event that Chris has done for years. We've got some James Beard Award-winning chefs coming in, cooking at Brennan's. Everyone's dressing up in derby attire.
Love it.
And drinking a lot of rosé, so it's going to be a blast. So that also, those tickets can be purchased on our website as well.
Another way to donate and get something out of it, too, because these events are a lot of fun.
Yeah, they
always.
are.
Lindsey Brown, Executive Director of Southern Smoke Foundation. Always good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'd love to have you back at the end of the month, too, when tickets go on sale.
Yes, for
Get you an
sure.
early lead on those.